much champion the Black Lives Matter.
This is what you notice how you just jumped to the BLM thing, which is not what I'm talking about. I was talking about Antifa.
He said, he literally just said BLM was highly ideologically driven by the left. What do you mean he's not talking about BLM?
I wasn't talking about that. But if you look at BLM and the way that the left-wing Democrat politicians were responding to it, completely condemning all of this violence, saying rioting is completely unacceptable. And
is that why Kamala Harris promoted the Minnesota Freedom Fund to bail out the violent rioters? Like, I mean, come on.
I think that's the closest thing you can get to maybe she's advocating for violence, or maybe like a Maxine Waters saying you need to go get up in their faces. But then when you compare it to the totality of statements where she's saying violence is not okay, but maybe we should help people.
How many of these left-wing organizations? How many of these left-wing organizations who are filled to the brim with attorneys back up all sorts of projects which are designed to bail out protesters, quote protesters, when they get cracked down on because they're breaking the law in the streets? And they pay their bail funds. NGOs will back up many of these organizations. I pointed this out in my last debate with Vince. Have a massive list of NGOs, which we can go through, who organized the No King's Day riots, and they were riots, and there were riots before those days. So the thing is like, I can show you the NGOs who helped organize this, and it's like to pretend that these people aren't working in unison.
I love Indian culture, by the way, not that big on German. I love Indian culture. Okay, man, now you're full of
each other and aren't pushing towards violence.
Sorry. No, now I cannot take you serious, man. You love Indian culture? I even speak a little German. I've learned. All right. Auf Wiedersehen. Ich Pablo. Me too, a little bit, man. I speak a little bit of German too.
It's just crazy at this point. By the way, hey, Andrew, another. Hang on, almost done. Another narrative.
I've been hanging on for 30
another
minutes,
narrative.
So
well, hang on for one more minute. Hang on for one more minute. So the thing is like, it was also you guys, remember, and your side largely, that was trying to distance yourself from violence by pinning it on a right-wing raper after Charlie Kirk was shot. Almost the entire narrative of the influencer left and the legacy media, which is left-wing, was trying to do this. And they've done everything possible, in fact, to say, nope, we didn't do it, had nothing to do with our rhetoric. And then less than a week later, right? Oh, go to Twitter right now. Charlie Kirk's a fascist Nazi. He's a fascist Nazi.
That's to be clear, because I noticed that. If anything, I thought the Groiper thing was jumping the gun, to be clear. But Vince, go ahead.
Yeah, Andrew, how many people were arrested during the Los Angeles protests?
Which one?
The one from the summer in June of 2025.
I'm not sure the numbers.
Anti-ICE riots.
Yeah, I'm not sure the numbers.
It was over 400 arrests. So again,
not even fascist, bro. The Indian government is corrupt to the core, bro. They will never move out. They will never. It will take like 100 years. You mean LA riots? Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Gavin Newsom's sentiment of, hey, we need you to peacefully protest. It doesn't seem like he's enabling it.
Even though they have universal health care, they still have to pay for it monthly, and you, by law, need to pay to the system.
It seems like he's
it's not free healthcare. A lot of people don't understand this.
Several people were arrested for felony charges like assault against police officers and for possessions of Molotov cocktails and a gun. So again, if this was Gavin Newsom dog whistling, I would imagine we would expect far less arrests. And I remember actually in our previous debate, where you said the cops were just standing around
and then showed video proof
where they were not.
Yeah, they were.
They were not just standing around. And evidently, they weren't, because
not only were they, but we showed the video and demonstrated, and you look like an idiot because we showed it.
Yeah. So
we showed it.
You acknowledge that there were 400 arrests that were made by Los Angeles PD due to these protests, right?
Sure.
Okay, so then it wasn't that Gavin Newsom was standing down or allowing this to happen. It seems like they were very adamant in trying to make sure that those who were not peacefully protesting were being.
No. People don't understand this. We understand this. You still pay. You still pay in the German system of healthcare. You still pay monthly, a lot of money. By the way, a lot of money yearly, more than regular Americans. You pay a lot of money. The thing is that supposedly there's no bill, but behind the no bill receipt, there's some expenses, right? And the process to just even get to a doctor, even during the emergency, is pretty tedious.
held accountable for like Donald Trump, who ended up pardoning those who actually committed crimes.
Here's how this tended to work during those protests. If you actually assaulted officers or gave them a hard time, they would arrest your ass. That's true.
Nah, it's not me, because I have a channel. I react to a lot of German content, and it's not free. You have to pay a lot of money. Almost 50% of your income goes to a lot of those systems, which is not bad. But even getting a doctor, getting an appointment on a doctor, getting into even calling the emergency, even calling the ambulance, is a problem.
Okay, but they largely were standing around and watching everybody burn shit to the fucking ground, including what happened in the overpasses there. As you saw police on either side with paramedics on standby in case one of these protesters might have accidentally hurt themselves lobbing a fucking rock over onto a police car that they had just set on fire. They wanted to make sure that those guys would get the
50% of tax, even 50 to 60, yeah.
Help that they fucking needed. But the thing is, what's really funny about it, if you attack the cops directly, yeah, they don't put up with that shit. That's true. That's true.
I think we need to be very, there's a lot of like discussion that's like very beyond the scope that I'm seeing from our opponents here, because we need to be very clear. The left makes a climate that allows this type of violence to be highly associated with them ideologically. Like, for instance, we have a whole bunch of factions of the left that have risen up. I can name countless examples. You just gave an example of the anti-ICE rights. That's very ideologically fundamental to the left right now. We have the BLM movements that was very ideologically backed by the left as well. We have the pro-Palestine faction of the left, which the left constantly has to cater to and has caused countless of damages on college campuses. Yeah, pro-life journalists going and interviewing people and getting punched in the face. And you have our presidents being shot at, and you have our influencers dead. So it's like you need to have a very strong conviction to show that the party is very responsible by their ideological backing and their influence. And when you see bullets etched with Antifa slogans that are largely perpetuated by Democrats who are calling Charlie Kirk fascist, I think it is very clear what is going on here. There's a great unison with these politically violent actions and the party. Ideologically backed political ideologies from the party.
Let's give the kid a chance.
Highly associated with these acts.
John, I guess I have to ask, if you were to like, sorry, Vince, I'll let you go because I know I've been talking a lot, but like if you were to like ask like an Antifa like rioter, one of these violent people, like, why do you think Charlie Kirk is a fascist? Do you think a single one of them would say it's because Joe Biden said so? It's because Gavin Newsom said so? It's because, and not, these people are radicalized in their like little Marxist communist circles, and they read, I mean, you go to UC Berkeley, you should know this of all people, because I know the people at UC Berkeley. They are learning this in like, you know, their little like hippie circles. This is not coming down from like Democrat politicians. Absolutely no one is being inspired by the Kamala Harris rhetoric on ICE.
Who does it come down to is in charge of these hippie circles? How do the people in charge of those hippie circles, how does that information get disseminated to them, do you think?
This is going to get super anecdotal for me, but when I encounter these people, it's all people that talk about theory and reading communist manifestos and stuff. But if you want to say that this is somehow perpetuated by left-wing politicians, I don't really see evidence.
Oh man, this guy is disingenuous. Of course, coming. There's literally, one second, guys.
Wait a second. I'm just following your line. These people they do have organizers. You agree that that's true?
Well, not really Antifa, but
yeah, they really do. In fact, I can give you one of the organizers who ran a project, which is probably where you get a lot of your stats from. And he said on camera, and I have a clip here, he literally says that he's Antifa and that Antifa does organize. So I don't know where you guys are coming up with that.
I really hate the like Joe Biden, like it's just an idea, because I think that is a deflection. I mean, obviously they're groups of people and they have like a symbol that like unites them, but ultimately it's not some like big top-down organization with like it's the head of Antifa. It's you get these little pockets of people that all kind of agree, read similar stuff, and decide to go to the
these think the same thing.
Universities here, the universities are a hub for this type of ideological backing from people where, yeah, sure, the Marxists come together at universities, which is completely dominated by the left. So that is like another form of mainstream left-wing politics that is going into the educational system and is influencing people to become radicalized. And so it's like, yeah, if I asked an Antifa, like, why did you shoot Charlie Kirk? The answer is
I love talking shit to this mod too. It's one of my favorites.
But when you take a look at
you're like, shut up, mod. You suck, mod. Shut your fucking mouth, mod.
You are predisposed
I just like doing that.
Charlie Kirk is a fascist, to believe that all these people on the right really want to cause you harm, are threats to democracy, are Nazis, are Hitler, to the point where you are going to take actions because you are convinced by the social constructivist narratives that the left constantly perpetuates, and you think that when you commit an action in the name of social justice, that it is a good action, no matter what law you're violating, no matter what you're doing, so you can choose what laws to obey because it is in the name of some arbitrary social justice. All of this is under the umbrella of the left wing, who has created these ideologicals, these influences that have very predispose people to commit these acts.
I guess the problem I'm having is this like completely asymmetrical analysis where we can look at the left and say, yes, they condemn it totally, yes, they arrest and punish these people, and yes, they say absolutely nothing that would indicate that doing this is okay. But when the right wing calls people fascists or Marxists or any of these other things and commits political terrorism, that is a direct downstream of
it's because of PTSD. It's PTSD.
It's fringe. It's right wing.
Gee, what are they arresting all these people for? Are they arresting them for political violence, Soy? What are they arresting them all for?
We're getting way out of the framework
because they don't want it to happen.
Because they're so you're saying that a bunch of left-wingers are conducting a bunch of violence and have to be arrested? Is that what you're saying, Zoe?
I'm saying that yes, that left-wingers do political violence.
Yes, they sure do, and would you say that that's been kind of an ongoing theme here recently? And I mean, he just said 400 of them had to be arrested for conducting violence in California recently.
Wrong.
No,
not necessarily correct.
And what I remember,
I thought you just said that they're cracking down on this behavior.
Yeah, he just said it. He just said it. Oh my God!
Explain that.
Okay, I can't wait. I think we lost Vince.
400 arrests.
Up a little bit.
Oh,
I think we lost Vince.
Oh, yep.
Hold on, can you hear me?
All right. Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
So it said the vast majority of arrests have been for failing to leave the area in defiance of requests from law enforcement. So essentially staying out, and they're telling them to move, and they didn't move, and they got arrested. The other ones were more serious charges, and it was a handful, not a whole lot of them, but it was a handful of more serious charges, including for assault against police officers and then possession of a Molotov and cocktail. So again, when we talk about, but the thing that's really rich, that Soypil said,
not leaving an area, so no, not violence.
He just cited violence.
You guys let Vince finish.
The wild thing about this to me is it's exactly like Soypil said. Y'all are providing numerous examples of the left, and that's fair, fine. Let me just provide a few here, because we had the 2024 election that happened last year, and there were numerous calls made into certain election and polling places. We also saw 2025 where the CDC shooter was all upset about the COVID-19 shot that he had gotten, and he didn't like. He thought he was melting his brain or whatever it was. We also had the 2022 Buffalo seat, and that's right there exactly what I said in my opening statement. I'm glad you mentioned that, Andrew, because I believe in my opening statement I said when it's the left will openly condemn that violence. They say, hey, there's no place in there. When there was a protest, they'll say, hey, there's no place for this violence. But when the right does it, they then say, hey, guess what? It's because of mental illness, which is what I said, or they'll say it's because of PTSD, but they'll never own their rhetoric.
That's really
may have led up to that.
Wait, that's really
and
Oh, you just cut out again.
Oh,
sorry, man.
We lost Vince again. All right, well,
that's God smiting you for lying, by the way. But anyway, so where were we? Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that we can point to certain rhetoric that may have led these mentally deranged people on the right go towards these particular acts. We talked about, for example, that one person who talked about the COVID-19 shot. We've seen with the Buffalo shooter, for example, anti-immigration sentiment, and we could talk about all that. And whereas on the left, we'll sit here when we have someone that does these things, condemn those particular violent actors. But on the right, they immediately, for example, we just saw the Mormon incident where the guy drove the truck through the church. And what was the first thing that everybody said? Instead of saying, hey, maybe our rhetoric is pretty bad, they go, hey, he's suffering from PTSD. It's not our rhetoric. Our rhetoric has nothing to do with it. Was Christianity is under attack, and this is the left wing doing this. Then they said, once they realized it was a MAGA guy, that it was not. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. People said that Christianity was being targeted. That's true, but nobody said it was a left wing nut job. Nobody said that.
Well, exactly. The thing is that my understanding is that the entire Mormon thing happened because of a girl that he was interested in, and they broke up. And yes, the guy was crazy. And so this is the thing that's really funny. So I'll just be very unequivocal with this, just like I was with Destiny. I condemn all acts of political violence, right or left, period. Am I saying that there's never any such thing as incendiary rhetoric which comes out of the right? Of course not. Am I saying that there's no such thing as people who say things which could trigger people to go do violent acts? Of course not. Am I even saying that there's a way to 100% avoid that and have speech? Of course not. Has nothing at all to do with this conversation about which side is doing this more. And so as we dive into this, we need to be very precise. Remember how I wanted to get these semantics in order, and you never want to fucking do that because you think it's a trap. You think it's a trick. Even though even though I keep trying to just tell you it's a great way to avoid equivocation. And Vince, if you do it more, we wouldn't have to run into this so much. So the thing is here that's interesting, I'm willing to go case by case. It could be the case.
Except for Darrell Brooks.
It could be the case. I told you I was willing to go into that case as well. I was just explaining to you that I was making comparison contrast there about why it would be important for us to utilize studies the correct way by making correct classifications we could agree to. Again, semantics, very simple. The thing that's really interesting here is, like, if you give me a case and it's very clear that this was motivated by the right, and there's compelling, significant evidence that it was, my side always universally condemns that, by the way. And Charlie Kirk universally condemned that, by the way. We always condemn it. We're always saying, I was the one on the Pierce Morgan panel saying, of course, I condemn this type of violence. It was the representation for your side, the Coomer gremlin, who just couldn't quite bring himself to say, probably wasn't a great idea that you took a shot at Trump and killed Charlie Kirk. It was him. So the thing is so we can't, hang on.
But we're talking about our politicians.
We can't. You keep switching, though. You keep switching between the two. You're doing kind of like the worst form of equivocation, because we start with me saying this works from the top down and you agree. So you've already agreed with me semantically that this is the case.
That pundits are way lower on that hierarchy.
What would that have to do with the left or the right conducting more violence? Why would it need to be necessary that this is driven 100% by the top of the hierarchy, rather than it could be conducted by Antifa terror cells, it could be conducted by radicalization on side of college campuses, it could be conducted in all sorts of Discord groups, Telegram groups. It doesn't necessarily have to come from the top down. I don't think that the top-down rhetoric helps.
For it, then we need to look at one.
We're not just talking about that, though. We're talking about who conducts more of it.
Right. So if we want to talk about who conducts more of it, and we really want to read through the CSIS study, and we can talk about it, there's a reason why. Like, we can, but like, it's going to be real boring. And the problem is, at the end of it, you're either going to say, well, I don't agree with the methodology, and then not provide an alternative methodology that somehow parses.
Come on, let's go through it. Let's see what happens.
That you're satisfied with, and it's ultimately not going to get us anywhere, because you're
That's
never
not, wait. That is not how science works, Soy. Science does not work where you say, I have an experiment or some type of data collection here which is easily falsifiable and you have to replace it. That's not how that works. I don't need to give you alternatives to things that are bullshit. I don't need to.
I can name a bunch of things and look at these videos, and when I say a study, you can poke holes in it.
You remember how earlier you said that the study is not necessary for the demonstration?
Methodology, or go through and parse through the cases used in this study and say, this is how they all are classified under my methodology, and how then the numbers would add up, and then show me that new graph. But if you can do neither of those things, I'm going to choose to actually use the study.
Okay, well, let's use your own study. Okay, to make a demonstration. Since Trump was reelected, this is according to Cato, the left has killed. It is. Shut up and let me finish. It is. Dude, if you shut up, I'll show you.
Andrew.
The left has killed 2 times as many people, according to the CSIS. The one that you're referencing, the left-wing terrorism is at its worst in 30 years, according to the CSIS.
Are you talking about the little bar at the end where the left-wing terrorism has gone up by a little compared to the previous year, and then the right-wing bar is extremely large?
He's cherry-picking.
Yeah, you're looking at the very last year that's not complete. Is that how we're going to do it?
I just told you that according to Cato.